Right, here we go, we're going in. And we're recording. Hello, welcome to episode 2 of the Strong Athletic Fitness Strongcast. I did say last week I was going to get some people with a bit of athletic prowess, and we're very lucky for the first guest I've had. We've got pro MMA fighter Sam the Beast Stockdale. Sam, thank you very much for coming on.
No worries, my pleasure, yeah.
Sam is a very new signing to Strong Athletic Fitness. We're acting as a clothing sponsor, and Sam's on his way. You'll be hearing a lot more about him in the future. And for the next hour or so, we're going to really get to know Sam. Let's start from the beginning, Sam. What first got you into fighting?
Well, where do I start? To be honest with you, it was a rough patch in my late teens. Went through a few years of, there's a lot of dark stuff that went on back then, but I was in a bad place and I was stood in front of the magistrates because I was in trouble for something with the police, and he looked at me and was like, "You've got one chance. You can either sort your life out or you can carry on living the way you are and end up like the rest of them." And I think at that moment in time, I sat back and I took the opportunity to reevaluate a few things. And one of my close friends at the time, he still trains with us at the Women's Martial Arts Academy now, Rory Burford. I will happily mention him. He asked me to come up and join the I think it was the kickboxing class that they had going on at the gym in Launceston. And I went in there, and the first session that I had, I just fell in love, and yeah, I just didn't look back. And yeah, there's been a few things along the way, but that's how it all started. I mean, I will go into depth about a few things along the way. So yeah.
Excellent. So MMA, mixed martial arts. So you started off with kickboxing. What other disciplines are you inept at?
I started off with just being a little street fighter, wannabe hard man for a few years, and then got involved in a bit of bare knuckle fighting when I was about 18, 19. But that's completely different. That's a completely different ball game. I know they do it professionally now, and fair play to those men that do that, because that takes some guts, and I have been there. But you know, that wasn't a life. So went up and started kickboxing. I think there was a bit of taekwondo going on at the time as well, because Rory is I think a second dan black belt in taekwondo, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, started training with him, training with the owners of the gym at the time. They are also black belts in taekwondo, I believe, too. And we all just like had this little group, and we started off with kickboxing, and it was good fun. It was a way for me to vent my anger without having to do it the wrong way. So it was a good place to start. And I think about a few months in, maybe 5-6 months in, a man came across and approached us and mentioned about, I think it was jiu-jitsu and MMA, and whether any of us would be interested. And at the time, I knew of a couple of local lads that were doing it, from Liscard. I think his name was Lee Cares, really good pro fighter. He was the main one. There was it Sam Pritchard or something? Yeah, it's a long time ago, but there were a few local ones, and there was a couple of lads from where I lived in Launceston who were doing it too. And it inspired me to, give it a go. So I jumped the gun and moved over and started training in MMA. And for the first year or two, it was just all MMA focus with jiu-jitsu here and there, a little bit of other added martial arts into it. But I think about 2 years in, I started to plateau. I got to a level where I wasn't progressing, so I ventured out and started training. I think it was at Chaos Thai Boxing Gym in Oakhampton in my early 20s, and started finding a new passion and a new love in Thai boxing. And whilst I was up there, I got acquainted with Project Mayhem in Exeter, which is run by Luke Costello and Andy Costello, two very, very well-known men in the martial arts world. And they basically took me on. I went for a class up there, fell in love, and thought that, you know, my potential could be increased. So as you do in the game, you move on. And I moved on and I moved up near there, and I started training Thai boxing and MMA under Project Mayhem and Chaos. And I think I was at both of them simultaneously for about 4 years, about 4 years, from about 22 until I was 26, before everything went wrong. But yeah, I was there for about 4 years. I'm under the instruction of, it was Andy and Luke. I also had the great pleasure of competing in sports jiu-jitsu in the competitions. Went up to Bristol, had the pleasure of training under a great wrestling coach, one of the best I've ever seen, Saeed Esmail. Spent a year or two going up there every now and then training and wrestling. Obviously Andy Costello, former GB member, black belt in judo, so I was training judo under him. Black belt in jiu-jitsu. His son, Luke Costello, European world champion, I think, in jiu-jitsu multiple times over. So I progressed a lot, and obviously the Thai boxing as well, fell in love. Thai boxing to me is one of my most favourite, and I think it's what I'm known for most, is my stand-up for my Thai boxing. And I really enjoyed that. I was coached by Steve Pender and Christy Brereton. Christy Brereton is former and I think a current world Muay Thai champion as well. And they house multiple European and junior European and world champions, and potentially more up and coming. And I'm looking forward to going back with them soon, which is something I'm interested in doing. But I competed for them for 4 years as well. There's so much that went on. There were 2 types of wrestling that I learned. I think it was Greco and Sambo. I think there were 2 types of wrestling I learned under Saeed, which was amazing. Obviously the judo. Never really got involved with boxing until the last year or so, because I never found an interest in boxing. No offense, boxing is fantastic. I love the sport. I love watching it. They're amazing artists at what they do. But I just never found a knack for it. I like to use my legs. I like to use everything. I like to use all of my limbs. So I never really took an interest in that. But over the last year or so, I have started to take a mega interest, because one of my biggest downfalls in my career has been my footwork. Thai boxing, fantastic. You can be very flat-footed. You can walk. You can pace the fight. You can judge. You can do whatever you need to do to survive and to win. Unless that guy outclasses you and knocks you out, then there's no 2 ways about it. But in MMA, you're using absolutely everything. You have to be aware on so many levels. So I found that training it in everything individually, not just as one, was my best way of training, because I was taking bits from each and using them all to make my own skill set. But when I left Andy and Luke's, I moved down to here into Plymouth, and I joined Danny McMillan's Martial Arts Academy. Now, Danny McMillan Jr. and Danny McMillan Senior are, in my eyes, I can't even describe it. They're 2 of the most superhuman athletes I've ever seen in my life. I respect them dearly and incredibly, and I thank them for everything that they have done and continue to do so now and are doing now. The training that they've brought into place now, honest to God, I've never felt anything like it. And he joked with me and said, if you're finding your training easy, it's because you're not training hard enough. And I didn't believe him until now. Also, they do have their younger coach, Sean White, who has ran the MMA for the last couple of years, and obviously leaving Andy and Luke and moving down here and transferring to the 2, because we train obviously Gracie Jiu-Jitsu under Hoist Gracie and Helio Gracie. It's all passed down. Absolutely incredible. I mean, I was graded my blue belt back in 2017 by Hoist Gracie himself, and still got the photo, and that is a moment. He even came to watch my fight in Plymouth, and was by my cage when I won. And that is something, when you have an idol stood by your cage supporting you, who has passed on his knowledge down, and it's continued to be passed on and will be continued to pass on for years and years to come. It's a feeling I don't think I'll ever forget. Like, because he shook my hand afterwards and said that I would have the potential to become a world champion, and I think a little bit longer than anticipated, but I think the time's now to put all of that into place. But I've trained under a lot of different styles of martial arts, but like I say, I use my own little unique skill set. But this year soon, I'm going to be, very, very soon, as of like this month, I'll be working with Paul Carr one-to-one in Borderlines, where I work, to work on boxing now, because that's a skill set I haven't worked on, which I think is something that I need to add. So it's been
what a backstory. That is unbelievable. So many times I wanted to interject and go, tell me a bit more, but thank you, that was awesome.
I'm sorry, when I get going, I
no, that's what we need. A couple of things I really want to talk about a bit more. Going right back to the beginning, bare knuckle fighting.
Yes.
How did that happen?
It boils down to probably my college years. I classed myself as an outcast in college. I was one of those that always wanted to fit in, but never could fit in, sort of sat in the middle. I got bullied quite a bit, without even realising, but I got bullied quite a bit, and then one day I kind of snapped and lost it, and I think from that day I never really regained that sense of control. So when I left home and left college, I wrote it all off. I left when I was 15, walked out of everything. I had enough. I just felt like, I'd let everyone down, my family down, all of that. I couldn't face it anymore. It was time for me to go out and do what I could on my own. So I went on my own, spent the first couple of years just sofa surfing, crashing on mates' houses, just getting by, involved in the world. I got myself involved heavily in the world of drugs, heavily involved in alcohol, and obviously the dark side that comes with that. So, organised fights here and there for money. Whether you walk out of there battered, bruised, beaten, broken or not, you don't care. You're there for the money. But I think it was about 17, 18, I think it's about four of my fights in, and I had enough. I was like, I can't continue to do this, it's not right. So I had to get out, but unfortunately I was still in that world of drug addiction, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, going out on a Saturday night just to pick a fight with someone in my local town, because I knew I could, and I spent all those years being bullied and not knowing what the hell I'm doing with myself and my life. I just wanted to take it out on everyone, and that's what I did, until it got to a point where I got myself into a lot of trouble, where I'd either be facing prison or potentially worse, or giving me a lifeline, and I took that lifeline. And unfortunately, we'll get into this at a later point, but the last couple of years of my life, between like 2017 and 2019, haven't really been great, and it's been quite a similar journey, but it happens, but we'll talk about that at some point. So.
Yeah, definitely. I just need to go back to, and we've gone down and we're going to go right back up again now.
Let's keep going.
I want to hear about Hoist Gracie. To me, that has blown my mind hearing you talk about that. Even just that Hoist Gracie was in Plymouth. I'm like, what? It's been a while since I've been properly involved in the academy, and I do apologise to my coaches for that, but they know what I've been through and what I've been going through, and without them, as well as a few others, I don't know where I'd be right now. So, that's a tough one, but they know. When I was fully involved in the academy, back in between 2014, I think it was 2017, before I fully moved down here and got involved, I was training there every day. The thing is, like with me, between 22 and 26, I think it was, I had a great life. Failed relationships, not great, but I had a great life, had money, I had everything.
I was living life, I was working every day. And I was training every night. If I wasn't working, I'd be training. If I wasn't training, I'd be working. If I wasn't doing that, I'd be sleeping, I'd be eating. I'd be like continuously on it. And I just fell in love with the academy and the way things were. We had Harry Mittleman, fantastic ex-pro MMA fighter, look up to him a lot. His podcast or his interview thing with Danny over lockdown was fantastic, very motivational. We had a few other fighters, Jamie Reynolds, Che Ingram, obviously there's Sean, obviously you had Danny, there was a couple other fighters, I can't remember as well, but it was just great. And the level of jiu-jitsu that I was experiencing was unlike any other, in all honesty, because like, not taking anything away from any coach ever, because they're all unique in their own ways. The 2-3 years that I spent with Luke and Andy, amazing. Like, I learned so much, but transitioning from the competitive sports side of jiu-jitsu into Gracie jiu-jitsu was just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, because everything's so different. The techniques are all different, yet they're not. It's just passed down from, as we said, Hoist and Helio Gracie themselves. It's passed down through them, and as if you know about them, they are legends, absolute legends in the history of jiu-jitsu. Hoist Gracie, obviously UFC, and obviously that was one of the biggest things that appealed to me when I actually came to McMillan's. Is, oh my god, Hoist Gracie is passing this down to us. Danny travels, goes trains with him, it's all over social media, like everybody that's in that world knows. And if you know Hoist Gracie, you know, fair play, like you're learning something. So obviously the incentive when I was there was, it's still the incentive, by the way, that's never gone, obviously, was Hoist Gracie would be coming down and he'd be taking seminars. And he comes down to Plymouth. I think it's maybe once, twice, potentially 3 times a year, obviously depending if he's available.
It'll all turn out right in the end, I'm sure.
It's a little fancy, so I had to try.
What is it?
It's Aqua Carpatica, natural mineral water.
Right. Can you just say hello, hello, hello?
Hello, hello, hello.
And again?
Hello, hello, hello.
We're doing that. Something like that.
Lovely.
Do another sound test.
Hello, hello, hello.
And one more.
Hello, hello, hello.
That's the one.
Lovely.
Cool.
Or not. And he came for seminars, and we'd all gather, people would come from around the country, we'd all gather at the Life Centre, I think it was. And my first ever seminar that I went to, it was incredible. There were so many of us, and we were all stood in our lines already, and obviously Hoist Gracie comes walking in, bows, and just starts taking the seminar. And I can't even remember it, because I was so infatuated by the fact that a legend like that is stood in front of me. And I think I even got to do practice one of the throws or something with him. I think he was showing me how to do it, and he used me for one example. So that alone, just that experience was like, this is the place I need to be. I don't think I'm ever going to experience anything like this. But obviously, alongside the jiu-jitsu side of things, we do a lot of self-defense, hand-to-hand combat stuff, which is obviously integrated into it. And it's honestly, I can't even speak about it, because it's something that is such a rarity, but I've got the pleasure of being a part of it, and that's thanks to Danny and everyone at the academy, because like they've worked all of their lives for that. You know, they've put those foundations in place. They've worked that, they've got those connections, and they're able to pass that on to us and to future generations to come. And in all honesty, I'd say I'd stick with Macmillan martial arts for the rest of my life. Legitimately, it's incredible. And again, the new syllabus and the new way of training, the new way of we're doing our fitness and our workouts in there now is completely upped to a level that you think you want to be at, and you see. Like, I used to sit there and I'd watch people on Instagram and on YouTube, and I'd be like, I want to work as hard as them. But I thought I would be, but I never actually was. Now I'm working as hard as them. I know what they go through, and I want to continue it.
Awesome.
Yeah. But and if you want.
No.
Sorry. The Hoist Gracie being at the fight thing again. Like, I don't think I'll ever be able to describe that feeling. Like, you know, you sit at home and you watch these legends on YouTube, you watch their fights, you watch their history, you look into it all, and it's like, God, I sit there on a daily basis and say, I'd love to meet this guy, I'd love to meet this guy, I'd love to meet that guy, and I've met him, and I'm never ever going to forget that. I never will, and I hope to meet him again, and I hope one day I could train with him again, the family. I'd like to. It's a big interest of mine.
Awesome. Sam's talking an awful lot about the academy that he trains at, McMillan Martial Arts. For those of you who don't know, it's run by Professor Danny McMillan, who will be coming on this show soon with Sean White, the MMA coach that we're talking about here. And for those that don't know, Hoist Gracie was when the UFC was the UFC, so they used to get people of different disciplines that come in and they used to take each other on. So he's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they would have kickboxers, sumo wrestlers, etc., all different disciplines. Everybody's MMA now. Hoist Gracie was untouchable. Yeah, so that's where the respect comes from. Yeah. So the original Ultimate Fighter is Hoist Gracie. Yeah. Moving on, so you don't just fight. No. Anybody that watches your Instagram is going to see a lot of training videos. A lot of you swanning around me top off.
Bodybuilding. I don't know really how to talk about that, because like a lot of people do look at me and they're like, you fight, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how can you fight and look the way you do? And like, admittedly, I'm openly honest about this. It is so hard to carry this much muscle mass. It's so hard to fight like this. It's so hard to do so, but I'm comfortable at this weight, and I absolutely love it. And the thing is, when I first started training when I was 21, I think. Yeah, 21. I got into the gym and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I got in there with Rory. Once again, he was my PT for the first year. He taught me pretty much everything I knew to start me off. So thank you again, buddy. Appreciate it if you see this. So I was in there and I just worked for the first 2-3 years of just working out and just toning up and conditioning. I was obsessed with just being fit, looking good. I was obsessed with being that front cover Men's Health magazine guy. That's what I wanted to be. At the same time though, I'm an athlete, so I can't train to be that guy when I need to be this guy. So for the first 4 or 5 years, I spent a lot of time researching into athletes, researching into bodybuilders, researching into everyone that I possibly could in the industries that I'm venturing into. And I was like, right, how do they do it? How do they do it? How do they do it? And I just started picking bits from every single one. Again, just absorbing from every single one, training patterns, training regimes, dietary, nutritional, all of this stuff coming in. I took it all in. I basically custom made my own diet, custom made my own training plan. And I sat on that training plan and that diet for 4.5 years straight. I had 3 hours, maybe 4 every Sunday to eat and drink whatever I wanted. For the rest of the days, I was eating clean. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do anything. Even when I went out, you can ask anyone that was out with me, I'd be set with soda water and lime, or soda water and black currant, depending on what I wanted. I wouldn't have a single bit of alcohol, and I was religious by it. I stuck by it because, you know, I wanted to be the best that I could be, but unfortunately became subconsciously so self-absorbed I didn't even realise, and just started to chase, subconsciously again, I openly admit it now. I would never have admitted it back then because I was so, like I said, so self-obsessed, but I was chasing that life, the wanting to be a fighter, but I also wanted money. I also wanted to look good. I also wanted a nice girl at my arm. I wanted a nice place to live. So I got drawn more and more and more to that side of things. And yeah, But my obsession with looking good back then was because I thought I had to. I needed to look that good. I'm a pro athlete, I'm a fighter. I have to look the part. Like, no offense to bigger guys or anyone out there, because obviously there are people out there that are fantastic at what they do, amazing, even better than me. And they may not even be in the same shape as me, but they might outclass me, you know, and I'm open to that. It doesn't matter about how someone looks, it doesn't matter about the way they are, how big they are, it doesn't matter about fitness, of course, but anything like that doesn't matter. But I got so self-obsessed with having the perfect image that I just got obsessed. I literally got obsessed. And then, so I was working and I was training, so I was training 2-3 hours a day in the gym, then I'd be following on with an hour's Thai boxing, then I'd be training 2-3 hours in gym next day, then I'd be following with MMA, and I'd be playing football on a Saturday, then football on a Sunday, or rugby on a Saturday, and rugby on a Sunday. And then I think about 2 years in got introduced to calisthenics. So I introduced calisthenics to my training. So I was doing all of these bodybuilding style stuff in the gym, then I was doing calisthenics. I was training all of this time in the Thai boxing, the MMA world, then I was playing football, then I was playing rugby. Then I got introduced to gymnastics. So I started going gymnastics once a week, started working on my flexibility, my agility. And then I think I got introduced to bouldering or rock climbing, so I started going rock climbing again. I used to rock climb a little when I was younger, when I used to go beach, but that was different. So I got involved in rock climbing, so that was another form of training. And at one point, I think I must have been about, 24, 25, I felt untouchable, I felt invincible. And you know, when we get into it, the mental health side of things, I was one of those guys. If you came to me and went, dude, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do, I'd be like, it's cool, get in the gym. It's cool, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it, that stuff doesn't exist. It'll be okay. Try and be that nice guy, but then think, I haven't got time for that. Until it happened to me, and then, you know, it opened my eyes. But I was just obsessed. But nowadays, it's completely different. After what I've been through, I look at everything differently now, especially life and especially training, especially my health. And that's nobody else's fault apart from my own, and I accept that. I'm getting better with it. My health is okay, it's fine. I obviously just recently had a test done for my bloods because I had a health scare, but I am okay. But it's really kicked me up the ass, you know, because the last 2-3 years I got very complacent. I got comfortable, as Danny McMillan Jr., Professor Danny McMillan Jr. would say. I did say I got comfortable with my training. And I got, I was a light heavyweight when I first started. So when I first started, I was about 11, 12 stone. And then went up to 13, 14 stone. And I fought at light heavy. And then I think about 24 years old, I had this insane growth spurt. And I went shot up from 14 stone straight to straight to 16 with no explanation. I didn't do anything different in my training. Didn't do anything different in my diet. I was very, very active. I was working 14, 15 hours a day, training 3-4 hours a day, sleeping 4 hours a night. I'd be out that door at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd be in bed at 11, asleep at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, same again. And it was repetitive and I didn't know where it came from. So I took the jump and I went, you know what, scrap light heavy, I'm gonna move up to heavy. And then I started strength training and I got so obsessed with strength training, but because I was doing so much outside of that, I didn't think it would bother affecting me. But over the last couple of years, taking time away from MMA, taking time away from fitness, taking time away from all the other things that I was doing, which I'm not doing now, I'm starting to do again, but I'm not doing now. I didn't realise, but I got absorbed into that casual, just going to go to the gym, just going to get pumped, just to make sure I still look good. And yeah, that wasn't right. But now it's completely different. I've come back, reevaluated everything. I understand now that I am a pro athlete. This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm here to do. Enough people have told me that I can be a world champion and I have the potential to. Taken me long enough to believe in myself, but now I'm serious. I'm deadly serious. My training's changed completely. I'm not in that whole mindset where I need to look good. I don't care if I look good anymore. I mean, look at me. I walk around daily with no front tooth in. You think I care about my appearance anymore? Looking good now is an added bonus. It's an added bonus. I'm an athlete. I'm not here to look good. I have 5, 10, 12, maybe 15 years left in my fighting career. Who knows? Depending, God forbid I get injured, touch wood. But it's bound to happen. That's what I need to be focusing on. I've just lost 3 years of my life to mental health. I don't have the time to waste anymore. So when I'm retired from my fighting and I've left my mark and I've left my stamp, the legacy that I plan to leave in that world, I will go into bodybuilding, and I'm gonna take that seriously. Right now, I have the best of both worlds. I can fight and I can compete in some form of bodybuilding, but if I'm to be completely honest, to do both, you have to be out of your mind. And I was out of my mind to do both, because yeah, I looked good, yeah, it was amazing and it was fantastic, but did I have a life? No. Did it cause me problems? Yeah. Does it still cause me problems? Yeah. But, you know, I don't care about that side anymore. I'm just, you know, I'm an athlete. I should be training to be one. So that's the plan.
So you touched on bodybuilding. So have you actually been competitive in bodybuilding?
You know what? I was really competitive.
What I mean is, have you been like on stage?
Yes, I have been on stage. I have. I didn't been on the thong though. No. See, now when I was 23, 24, I was about, what, 90? I was about 97 kilo. And like I said, I'd shot up to about, I think I was 106.5 in about a year. By the way, a lot of people think I'm on steroids. I will openly admit now, I've tried Winstrol and I've tried clenbuterol. And that was a 6-week cycle back in 2015 to try and lose weight or maintain weight, because silly man over here who thought he was invincible took a fight a week's notice before he was supposed to step on stage and broke his hand. So yeah, that's the only time I have touched steroids, because I was freaking out, because I was so adamant that I wanted to be in my best shape, that I had to be on stage, but I couldn't let this fight go because it was for charity. It was for charity. So I felt obliged to take part in that too, and I felt confident that I could do both, but you know, fortunately karma didn't want to be my friend that day. Came back to bite me in the bum. But you know, yeah, I did compete and I did step up on stage the week after that fight, broken hand and all. I didn't place, I didn't get anywhere, but I was physically, I thought I was in the best shape of my life. I competed in the men's physique on the UK BFF stage. Unfortunately, I have the right shape for men's physique, but I'm too big.
Too big, yeah. I was going to say, you don't look like physique.
So a lot of, over the years, a couple of my previous coaches who I still talk to, like Lewis Breed, very well-known bodybuilder in Plymouth, have said, why not go for like classic, or I can't remember what it was, muscle model, that's the one, muscle model and stuff like that. So if I am going to do that, I will do that, because that is viable to be able to do easily alongside this. But you know, I've already made up my mind, this is what I need to focus on. But I have competed on stage and it was a very, very, very good experience, very nerve-wracking. Yeah, it was, yeah, but I messed up, you know. I messed it up, but I still done it. I still got the experience from it.
Okay.
I'd love to do it again one day.
Before we go into a little bit of the harder stuff,
That's fine.
tell me about OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, what's this all about?
What?
I've noticed on your page, you're the only guy I've ever seen with an OnlyFans.
I don't have OnlyFans.
Do you not?
No.
Did you have an OnlyFans?
No.
Well, where have I seen that?
Because a couple of times in the last couple of months, sorry people, for anyone that got excited over the OnlyFans. Obviously the way things have been over the last couple of years, finances and income have been non-existent.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get into that. But recently sorted myself out, starting to look good again, people noticing, people appreciating it over lockdown. Well, actually, it got mentioned to me beforehand, because just recently got back into modelling. I know I'm missing a tooth, but yeah, I've just recently got back into that, signed with an agency somewhere about 6 months ago, I think it was, or a few months ago. Still waiting for my portfolio shoot to be done, but yeah, because I do a little bit of that here and there. But a few people suggested, well, you know, if you want to make income, look at you. Why don't you get OnlyFans? And I was like, nah. I was like, I can't do that. And then I looked into it, and to be fair play to people who can successfully run that and do that. Like, yeah, that's a real income. Fair play to you guys. I take my hat off to you. I could potentially do that, and it has been in my mind for a while, and I'm open to the idea of it. But at the same time, do I really need to do that? I don't know. I don't really know. It would be pleasing for everyone else because they get to see whatever they want to see, and I would be making an income. But no, moral behind it was a few people mentioned it, and I was like, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit cocksure of myself at the moment. I feel good. I look good. I took a nice photo of myself, and I thought, just had a conversation about OnlyFans, so here we go. So I put it up. I was like, if you want to see the rest, you know what to do, swipe up. And there's no link to swipe up because I don't have it. So left it. I got a few responses, and there are a few people that are still now, a few months on, we're still looking forward to seeing you set up your OnlyFans. When are you going to do it? Please let us know when you're going to do it. And I done it again recently, a couple of weeks ago. It's the same thing, another photo, swipe up, nothing there. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but yeah, no, there is nothing I like that amidst or anywhere. Yeah, I don't have the confidence to do that, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Right, okay, we're going to have to go in a little bit harder now. We've touched on it so many times. Without going into any detail, obviously the people that are listening to this, they don't know your background and your story.
Yeah.
Your darker times, the mental health issues, the times when you've sunk to some different lows.
This is something. Don't get me wrong, by all means, there are people out there that have it way worse than me, and I'll never take that away from them. I never will. But me being myself, understanding who I am now and understanding my morals and being who I am and doing what I do as trade, to experience the things that I have personally experienced is horrifying, and I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemies. You know, and that's a big statement for me to make now, considering a place that where I was a couple of years ago, I didn't even know if I would be here right now, and I shouldn't be. But yeah, it happens. Basically, I actually went through a really, really rough patch, as we spoke about at the beginning of the interview, about my late teens and leaving home at a young age. You know, I didn't have a bad childhood. I had a great childhood. My mum was amazing. My mum she's my rock. Half the reason that I am who I am today is because of that woman. No other fault of her own, but she was left to raise me up on her own from a very young age. I think I was only like 3 months old. Never really had my dad around. You know, if I did, it would be when it suited him, and when I spent time with him, I'd always be working, or I'd always be sat there, covered up with him watching a film, whilst he was drinking his cider. He had a bit of an alcohol problem for a bit of his life, you know. So yeah, that was savage. But you know, no hard feelings. It is what it is. People fall out of love and they don't spend the rest of their life together. You learn that when you get older. But obviously at the time I didn't know any different. But my mum took everything on. She took me on, and she played the role of mum and dad. And that woman is the strongest woman I know on this planet, literally. She worked day in, day out for me, done everything she could to provide me for the best life I could. Made sure I was at football and rugby every weekend, doing everything I could, doing my sports, because that was me, that was my life, that was what I wanted. She'd done everything she could, and you know, I threw it back in her face sometimes, as you do, you're a kid, but whatever. You know, we've grown out of that now. We've sorted our differences and stuff. But yeah, she tried her best, and she'd done her best, and she always has done. I don't want her to ever think like she hasn't. But you know, I was messed up for whatever reason. I didn't know. But I was very, very messed up, and I left home at 15. I pushed my mum hard that day, and I realised how far I'd gone. So I took it upon myself to venture into the wide world on my own. What I didn't realise at the time was everything that happened through then was traumatic, if that's the word you want to use, and it is the word you have to use. Childhood trauma is the definition for it. Definition for my problems, and the reason that I do have these is, like I said, it's no offence to anyone, it's no one's problem, it's no one's fault, and I don't want anyone to ever think that it's unhealed childhood trauma. It's stuff you go through as a child that you don't understand, and you never will understand. And if you're sustainable to trauma for the rest of your life, there's a potential disaster waiting to happen, and it will come out. So it takes a lot for you to get through that without realising. So yeah, I didn't even know what was going on. I think at about 10 years old, I won't go into it, but yeah, I think I remember correctly, I told my dad that I had a phone call with him. I said I didn't ever want to see him again. If I did, then yeah, you know, because there was a rough time going on. And I think that triggered me, because after then I just became what I deemed myself the devil child. Called myself the devil child because mum would be like, got to do this, you can't do this, and I'd be like, no and yes, not yes and no. She'd ask me to do something, I wouldn't do it. She asked me not to do something, I'd do it. I don't know why, I'm never going to know why. I always wanted to fit in, I always wanted to be part of the crowd, I always wanted to be somebody, you know, because I felt like I wasn't anybody. Everyone around had these perfect families, brothers, sisters. You know, it's one of those, you don't realise it, but subconsciously it's something you crave if that's the type of person you are, and I'm drawn to stuff like that. Like my nature, I do have a kind-hearted nature. I might be this fighter and this brute, but deep down there is someone nice under there, and I do have feelings. Otherwise I wouldn't have been through what I've been through, but you know, we'll get to that. But yeah, so I left home when I was 15, obviously went down that path for a few years. And you know, I've had several failed relationships. Whether they're my fault or not, it is what it is. It's over and done with now. But you know, they all played their part in damaging myself and damaging themselves, or me damaging them in one way, shape or form. Because you know how nasty things can get sometimes. Never physical. I wouldn't ever want to do that. I have nearly once, but it's not acceptable, and I never would. It's not me. But you know, several failed relationships. One of them hurt me a lot, which was quite recent. The one that really tipped me over the scales. But you know, I went through all of that when I was younger. Got into the whole MMA scene, like I said, and for 6 years or so, I literally was untouchable. I felt incredible. I went through my stuff, I got out of it. People helped me get out of it. I got out of it, and I wanted to. The day I got out of it, this is I think why I'm so passionate about stuff. The day I got out of it, I said to myself, you've let so many people down already, and you're not even 21 yet. You need to sort your life out. You need to prove to people that you're not the person that everyone thinks you are. You're not the person that everyone says you are. You need to forget that. You need to be who you're supposed to be. And for those first 5-6 years, I was who I thought I was supposed to be. Well, I was a part of who I was supposed to be, but with this self-righteous, self-proclaimed, self-obsessed attitude, which I didn't even realise. And maybe the good relationships failed on my behalf because of that. I don't know. You know, I hurt a lot of people because I didn't care. If I got involved with someone romantically or in the relationship side of things, if we broke up, I didn't care. I didn't give a damn. All I wanted to do was train, work, earn money, fight, eat and sleep. That's all I wanted to do. And I wanted money. I wanted a nice car. I wanted a house. I said it already. I wanted all those luxuries, but that wasn't what I should have been going for. But it was. And you know, I had that. Had a nice car once. Had a nice place once. You know, I've had all of that and I lost it all. I lost everything. Absolutely everything. savage. But you know, when I broke my hand in 2015, I didn't realise, because obviously over the years of suppressing trauma, suppressing things, because I didn't accept things. If things went wrong, I'd be like, cool, whatever. A friend would come to me, some friends would come to me, I don't know what to do, I'm feeling really down, I can't cope anymore. It's fine, don't worry. Everyone has their days. You'll be okay. I was one of those people who put people down without even meaning to, because I didn't understand. I thought I did, claimed I did, but I didn't. I wouldn't have accepted that and owned up to it until now. But, you know, I did, and I never sustained any real injuries. I mean, I've had accidents. I mean, I cut my finger off when I was 5 years old by accident. Fire exit door at Warstow Primary School.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Show that up to the camera.
Yeah, that was, I remember that, trauma, unhealed childhood trauma, that happened, and I remember that like it happened 2 seconds ago, and I'll never forget that. That's something that stays in my mind forever, and I've never gotten over it. I never will. I've just adjusted, you know.
Yeah,
I didn't even think that's there. I feel like I've got a full finger.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable level of pain for a 5-year-old to experience. I mean, as an adult to go through that, that would pretty much fuck you up. But
So, you know, that messed me up a lot, I think, and I think that's one of the main things that impacted me, because, you know, this is how well I remember it. At that time, everyone around me just mollycoddled me, made sure I was okay. So I didn't have time to be all like, yeah, I cried, yeah, I knew what had happened, yeah, I got upset. By the time it was all over and done with, I've been mollycoddled so much by everyone. You're a brave little soldier. I was like, yeah, cool. You know, you don't process it. It's gone. It's happened. So, you know, these little things go away. And then I sustained a few more injuries over time. I think I put a knife through my hand when I was working in an abattoir. Really close to, I would have never been able to fight. If that had been, I think it was a millimetre downwards, I would have never been able to fight again. So I was very fortunate on that. But I've never really broken any bones. So come 2015, and I broke my hand. Couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. I was up in Newcastle with my Thai boxing coach, Thai boxing charity fight. I think it was third round, we've come out, he was ex-pro boxer, I think, really tough guy from up there. And I had to I wasn't trading with him. Like I said, I've never been a boxer. As much as I'm a Thai boxer, I will trade with you, but I'm not a boxer. So, you know, I'm not going to stand toe to toe with you in my hands. So I tried to break him down as much as I could, and I remember it. Came out in the third round, and I was throwing combos at him, backed him up against the ropes, came in right hand, and I think it was a left hook or a left body shot, and it overhand, right? And I looped my overhand, and hit him with the outer knuckles, and it snapped. And I knew instantly that it snapped, or something had gone wrong, but I didn't want to accept it. Took the gloves off, massive lump. Yeah, you've broken your hand, you need to go to hospital. Fingers like this, bones nearly protruding through the skin, and I'm like, I can still move it though. I can fight. Just let me, I'll be fine. You need to get back. Couldn't get back until the next day, so I had to wait, I think it was 12 hours before I could get back to Plymouth. Got back to Plymouth, taken it to Derriford, and they saw me and they were like, yeah, you've broken your fourth metacarpal, showed me the x-ray, and I was mortified. And they went, you've got two choices. You can either have it like wrapped, bandaged, casted, and let it heal on its own accord, or we can operate. And I was like, well, this is my life, this is my career. I said, I need this to be fixed. I can't, this is all I know. Like, this is all I know. And they were like, right. They went away, spoke to the doctor, came back and said, right, we've got the best hand surgeon in the Southwest for you coming in on Monday. We're going to book you in, it's 2 days away, you okay with that? And I was like, yeah. Casted it, went in for the operation, didn't realise, but I'm scared. I openly admit I'm scared of stuff like that. I don't like stuff like that. Operations, trauma, like stuff. It freaks me out a lot. So yeah, that was a big day. Went under, obviously came back out of it, came round, and obviously got taken home. And just, you know, you got to rest, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. Okay. Yeah, you sure you're going to do that? Yeah, okay. Promise. 24 hours later, I was in the gym. Cast on, everything. Splint on, whatever it was, I can't remember. I was in the gym, I was lifting weights like I hadn't taken a day off. And I've done that every single day until they said I was clear to go. I think I got healed, I think my hand healed 3 weeks earlier than it was planned to. But yeah, I had an operation and they plated it because that was the only way to save it and stop me from potentially losing my career. So, but you know, I didn't accept it, didn't process it. But at the same time, whilst I was all me, subconsciously, everything started to build up and I became weak and I became vulnerable. And I made a statement back in 2014, and I've said this for years, I made a statement that when I broke up with someone, no names mentioned, I said that I wasn't going to get involved with women again. I said, you know, I said, that's it. I said, we're done, we're over, I can't. I said, we need to focus on myself. And I was on my own for a while, saw a few people, done whatever, and you know, then I met someone shortly after I broke my hand, and you know, without realising how vulnerable I actually was and how much of a state I was, just, you know, being on my own for so long and being so strong mentally, physically, emotionally, and being that untouchable guy, this person's just come in and I've just gone, hugged them and like, just, you know, apologies, just gone, you know, like, wow, I've got a safety blanket, I can rely on someone. Within the first 2 weeks of our relationship, I think I had 3 emotional breakdowns, 2 mental breakdowns, and then yeah, the rest was just dark as hell. Really bad relationship, Not her fault, not mine. It is what it is at the end of the day. Things happen. You know, I used to blame her. I used to really hate her. I used to do all these things. I used to blame everyone for everything else because I couldn't accept it. But you know, I've accepted a lot of things in my time now from what I've been through, and I don't hold grudges against anyone. It is what it is, but you know, the things that we went through and certain actions that happened and certain ways things were dealt with, and how I was lied to so bloody much, triggered everything that had happened in my entire life without even realising, just started flooding. And you know, I was at a point where I'm really doing well in my career. I've got everything I possibly could ever want. I'm doing this, I have this girl that I'm infatuated by, and she doesn't want to be with me because she just keeps cheating on me. She's doing this and doing this. It is what it is. I don't care, I'm open to talk about it. This is exactly what happened. You know, and maybe I became a little bit crazy, maybe I became a little bit like, what's going on, what's she doing, I can't leave her be, because I didn't know what was going on, didn't know why, and I wouldn't get my answers. I wouldn't do all of these things, but you know, to be all and end all of it, all of that, all the trauma sustained from the hurt, the pain, the deceit, because I base a lot of stuff now on honesty. Honesty is a big one because I've been very dishonest in my life. I'm not perfect. I've let a lot of people down, especially in the last few years. I let a lot of people down, taken people for a ride, if that's how people want to put it, without meaning to, and I'm sorry. Thank you to the people that are still here and are still supporting me and believe in me. I will return the favour in kind if and when I can. It's something that I've always said and I take that to my grave. But, you know, I couldn't deal with it, and I spiraled. And, you know, in the relationship, some things happened. I have something called DID. It's like a dissociative identity disorder. It's like a multiple split personality disorder. It's not very active, but it's very aggressive when it is active. Now, I didn't even know what the hell it was until digging further into it. And now the person that I was with at the time, she monitored, diaried everything, gave me notes so I knew what I was dealing with. And in that time, things got bad. Things got very bad. Now, the personality disorder is just like people who probably don't believe it. You know, there are people out there that don't believe in this kind of stuff, but I have what's been assessed as like 4 different personalities. One of them's really, really aggressive and really not nice. And you know, I didn't even realise that, and that's something that has stemmed from trying to fit in, trying to be different people, trying to be a different person for all these different people to fit in, you know. You adapt and you do these things. But I didn't even realise what the hell was going on. But in my sleep, it was only ever active in my sleep when I was going through trauma, which was the relationship stuff. I've found multiple times downstairs doing things I shouldn't be, sat at the door, waiting to go out, chanting things, talking people's names. She recorded me in my sleep, like, you know, having conversations, 3 different conversations through me, you know, being different people, describing places, describing people, mentioning her, mentioning certain people who were involved in certain situations and what would happen. And I'm open to admit this, and I am eternally sorry for this if she ever sees it. But yeah, I physically hurt her in my sleep, you know, and yeah, I feel fucking horrible, and I'll never live it down because I don't know what I've done, and I'm never gonna know. I'm never gonna be able to accept that. But I physically hurt her twice, I think. Yeah, so I knew something needed to happen, so I went in, got assessed, and they established a few things. Obviously, really severe depression, anxiety disorders coming on. This multiple personality disorder, sleeping disorder that I've had all of my life. Didn't even realise. I thought it was just normal, but I can't shut off. I can't shut down before midnight. I can't fall asleep before midnight. It's very rare that I actually do go to sleep quite early. I struggle to get up in the mornings, you know. But the thing is, people say it's because I'm lazy, and people have said all of my life, it's because you're lazy, it's because of this, because of this. You have no idea. I have things going on in my head, left, right and centre, that I wouldn't even want to pass on to people. You tell someone to shut that off. If they're able to shut that off, easy, fair play. But you can't, so I spend most of my night trying to deal with what the hell goes on in my head. And when I'm asleep, and when I wake up, I struggle to wake up because I have really bad night terrors. I suffer from really bad night terrors. They're horrific. So, you know, I struggle to wake up. I struggle to go to sleep because I don't want to go to sleep. But, you know, I deal with that now. I live with that now. The depression was a killer. Nearly killed me. That was bad. That was really bad. I still have anxiety problems on a day-to-day basis. I have really bad confidence and self-esteem issues. If you look at my Instagram, it doesn't say that. It's got my body plastered everywhere and my face everywhere, but that makes me feel good. I train to look the way I do for my own satisfactory benefit, for no one else's. If you appreciate this, thank you. It means my hard work's being noticed, and that's all I care about. But you know, I went through all of that and I didn't understand it, and I ended up spiraling into a world. Now, I'm a pro fighter. I beat people up for a living. I get punched for a living. You know, I do one of the most dangerous combat sports on the planet. When you're going through stuff like that, it's different now because everyone's become open to it and the stigma's not there anymore. But when you're going through something like that and you have that reputation over your head, do you know how hard it is to reach out to people without people going, and they have done it for years, and some people still do it now. It's okay, you're a big guy, you're fine. Go to the gym, do what you always do. It's fine. You do this, it's cool. You're a fighter, you don't suffer from that. Behave yourself, you can't be that bad. It'll be okay. Look at you, Mr. Tough Guy, crying over this and crying over that. Posting this on social media and posting this on that for attention. And no, my friend, I'm asking for help. That's what I was asking for years, and I wasn't getting it. People were just laughing, people were not taking me seriously. If they were taking me seriously, they'd get involved in my business to cause more trouble. And you try dealing with severe mental health shit when everyone that seems to be wanting to be in your life just wants to make it worse. It's hard. I reached out to people that I shouldn't have. So be it, it happened. I've asked for help from people, and if I could take it back, I wouldn't have. But I've asked for help from people, and they have helped me kindly, deeply from the bottom of my soul. I am grateful. I owe a lot to a lot of people, and I let a lot of people down, and I accept that. But it was hard to deal with. So I just became this. I was me, but in all honesty, I wasn't. I think I was somewhere else. I was something else for a while. I just reverted back to doing drugs, not caring about anyone. Started drinking again. I smoke weed. I do smoke weed. I'm open about that. I don't abuse it like I used to, but I do smoke it. And people have their stigma and their interpretations on that, and you're more than welcome to your opinions. But me, from my personal experiences, this stuff helps me a lot. And I know there's ways to get better off it and stuff, and I am going to be doing that. That's in the process with my doctors and that. But that helped me. But I ended up going back to when I was 17, 18, 19, the norm, something that I was used to, something that I've experienced already, something that I was comfortable with, forgetting who I was and being wrapped in a world of I don't want to live anymore, And there was a time where I was sat somewhere contemplating something. No one could get hold of me. No one could get hold of me. Best mate that I was living with at the time, I'm pretty sure, sorry about the language if I swear.
No, it's okay, it's fine.
Pretty sure he punched me when I walked back through the door. And I don't let many people punch me, so for him to punch me, I worried a lot of people, and I shouldn't be here. But I think when I was really at my darkest, and I didn't even realise it, I didn't even realise what I was doing. I met my best friend and my housemate that I live with now, AJ. The majority of people know who he is. He's a fantastic guy. Now that man came into my life at a time where I was stuck in uncertainty, because I was still on the balance of I'm still fighting, I still want to be the best, but my life's falling apart and I can't control it. And he's been in the same situation for quite a while as well. I think we're both in the same kind of situation when we met each other. Don't get me wrong, we've had a really, really rough couple of years. We really have, and we still don't have much luck now. But it's the way of life. But if I'm completely honest, if it wasn't for him, I've lived with people in the past, and it's been amazing, and I've been eternally grateful for them helping me out and being there for me. And then there's been people that have just turned their back and thrown it back in my face because they can't seem to comprehend or understand why things have happened the way they've gone, or what happened to me. They don't want to accept it. But that's their choice, and I'm sorry if I pissed you off or upset you at any point. It's life. But me and AJ got introduced to each other, and he offered me a place to live. Moved in, and we went through the darkest times I have ever experienced. Now, we both suffer from mental health problems. AJ more so than me on a different scale. I'm not going to talk about that, but the people who know him know. But he was there for me. He took me in when people were turning their backs on me, whether that was my fault or not. Still, he was there. He didn't have to. He took me in. He gave me a roof over my head. And just he supported me. He has been there for me, and I've never even asked for it, and I wouldn't dare to ask for it. And like for the first year or so, I probably took the piss. I really did take the piss, because I lost who I was. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was for a long time, probably about well over a year. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going, who I was. All I cared about was working, because I've worked security a long time as well. A lot of people know me through the doors. But yeah, that was another thing as well. Lost my badge. Lost my badge. That was it. That was the cut-off point for me. That was when I lost it. I lost complete control of myself and nearly game over. I've been with AJ for like 6 months, and I was working one night, and altercation happened outside. And you know, it is what it is. I had my license taken away from me. I got convicted or whatever for it. You know, shit happens. A guy threatened to stab me, so whilst I was dealing with him, I got assaulted from behind by a gentleman who, when he got peeled away from me, cut my neck with his nails. In that situation, yeah, I would have reacted differently maybe if my mental state of mind was different, but you know, I turned and I hit the guy. And it was point blank on camera, you know, and he hit the guy. I put up a fight because I deemed it self-defense, and I stand by that. You know, I stand by that, but I lost my badge, and that was the downfall. When I lost my badge, that was it. I just gave up. I think for months and months and months. I think it was about 6 months. 6 months I went on a bender, pretty much. Just a continuous bender. Drugs, alcohol, food, no food, sleep, no sleep. Not just giving a damn whether I lived or died. And then we got Jesse. Now, for those who know me and follow my Instagram and follow my Facebook, know that obviously Jessie is the beloved Rottweiler that's in most of my stories and photos. Now AJ got her for his daughter's birthday, and you know, she isn't my dog, but I do class her as my own. She means the world to me, and if it wasn't for her and AJ getting her at the time that he did, I don't think I'd be here, and I'm not sure he'd be. So yeah, that dog's special. When she came into our lives, I knew I needed to make a change, you know. And I started to reach out again and wasn't getting anywhere. But, you know, things had happened, like, you know, a couple of months on, things had happened with the police stuff, and they took my badge, sent me to court. I spent nearly a year trying to defend my case, to just throw it out of court because I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered to continue trying to defend myself because they wanted to punish me because a guy was being held by my 2 colleagues when I'd hit him, because they couldn't understand. This is the magistrates. They seem to not be able to understand that in that situation, from behind, I can't see what's behind me. I've got hands around here. What do you do? Yeah, everyone has their own opinions, but I've done what I've done. But you know, they granted me a 12-month mental health rehabilitation program, which I gladly and very, very, very promptly accepted. And they granted me, obviously, the rest of it. And I just, you know, I thought, this is it. It's time to sort it out. I was with someone else at the time, but that relationship ended really badly again. But yeah, started the mental health rehabilitation program. Now, I went from on pretty much death's door, spending weeks and days just putting lines up my nose and drinking alcohol and smoking weed all day every day and not eating or eating and trying to just, function, to then being granted a lifeline again. Why did I deserve that? You know, so that was running through my head. Why did I deserve this? Why am I being given this lifeline again? I fucked up. I should be punished. This is the second time round. But it was there. I walked in there and I just, walked in there and I didn't look back. I just started talking, I never spoken to people before. I felt afraid. I didn't know what I was doing. A mess. My skin was horrible. I looked horrible. I was a mess. Everything about me, I was ashamed to even be out in public. I went ghost for about 4 months, I think it was at one point. Not a single person knew where I was, knew what I was doing, could get hold of me. Wouldn't even known if I was dead or alive. The only person that would have been my housemate. It was bad. It was so bad. But I started it, and the previous time when I went and got assessed, they wanted to psychotherapy me, do all of this stuff. They wanted to get in deep. They wanted to get into my past, into my childhood. And I think the first session I was going through, he brought something up that I didn't agree with, and I walked out and obviously dealt with it. This time around, I walked in and this guy sat there and he just talked to me. And for a year straight, once a week, for an hour, sometimes hour and a half, even on the phone, he'd call me. His name was John Langley, fantastic man, works obviously for the mental health side of things at Harbourside in Plymouth, grateful for what they've done. He just sat there and let me talk, and all he did was provide me with knowledge and provide me with advice and the ways to just learn how to regain control. And that's pretty much the be all and end all of it for me. Was I lost control of me, my thought process, my emotions, my feelings, everything. I lost control because I didn't understand why, because I was never getting the answers that I was seeking so I could process it and deal with it. I couldn't get the answers to heal. And there's only so much you can take before anyone breaks. Look at Tyson Fury, for example, my idol, literally my idol, that man, what he's been through. I relate to him so much, like, you know. And not even that, celebrities, famous people, your friends, family, anyone out there that's going through stuff that can pull through it. You know, it's gripping and it's inspiring. But biggest thing for me was, like I said, I just lost control. So I spent a year of talking, working with my probation officer, working with my mental health therapist, just to rediscover who I was. And the last time that I properly done a drug session or whatever they're called was I tried a once in a lifetime thing, and I don't advise it, and I'm going to be open about this. It was acid. Many people know what that is. I got given a tab. Before I got given it, they said two things are going to happen depending on your mental state of mind. You're either going to have a really bad trip and you're probably never going to be the same, or you're going to have something totally incredible and you're going to come out the other side. And I had one of the most surreal, out of body, supernatural, life-opening experience I could ever possibly imagine. And, you know, I came out of that and I was just like, one, what the hell did you just do? And two, what have you been doing for the last 2 years of your life, mate? You're an athlete. You've let all of this happen. Why? Because you couldn't control yourself. You couldn't control your emotions. You couldn't control this. You couldn't do this. Get over it. Things happen. They're out of your control. Why worry about that? And I was just like, okay. I continued and things started coming back. My thought process started coming back. My walls started coming back up again, and I started to feel more confident, not within myself, because, you know, but I started to feel confident in being around people, going back to the gym. So I started training again. I dropped from, I was 107.9 kilos at the beginning of 2018, and I was fit and healthy. By the end of it, it's not much of a difference because I did train. I did train once, twice, 3 times a week if I could. I did go to MMA when I could, because I've never lost that drive or that passion, and I never will. As much as I did give up for a bit, I've always come back to it, and they've always been there, they've always motivated me, and I always will be. And now I'm never going to stop. But, you know, I came in at 95.9 kilograms about a year ago. I haven't been that light since I was 21, 22. And that was due to everything I've been through, the mental health, the stress, the depression, the not eating, the drugs, the alcohol, all of this stuff. But I was still fit. I was still going to the gym and smashing out hour-and-a-half sessions, still going and playing football for 90 minutes, still doing all of these things. So, like, how is that possible? How is that humanly possible? Don't get me wrong, I'm probably going to have side effects at some point later on in my life, but I'm prepared for that now, you know. But yeah, I knuckled down, and I think I finally signed off in May this year from the program, from the treatment, And in all honesty, the last, 2, 3, 4 months, lockdown, granted, that was tough. That was hard. But in the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's been back at the gym and things are starting to pick up. And, I've really, I've started to notice things myself now. I've started to notice changes myself. And I'm happy to say that I don't think I will go down that road again, ever. I battle with my mental health still daily. I really do. There are times where I struggle, times where my housemate struggles, we both struggle. But it's different now because, I'm not afraid to tell people, I'm going for a rough ride, just bear with me, can you please bear with me? Or, people now that I thought weren't going to understand, do understand. No offence to like the academy or anyone in the gym and stuff like that, but there was a time where I'd walk in and I'd sit there and I'd train and I'd be feeling like, these guys don't even know that I want to go home and top myself when I get back. But I'm here putting on a brave face, trying to do what I can because, now I do want to be the best in the world at what I do. Fighting, bodybuilding, whatever I do, I've always wanted to be the best and I will not stop trying to be the best. And that's a given fact, and I make that statement anywhere because I know I've got it in me, and I believe that now. But after going through the things that I've been through, I feel like I'm reborn again, if you want to put it. Completely rediscovered myself, different outlook on life, different outlook on everything. I've accepted the majority of all that's happened. I don't blame anyone, I don't hold any grudges. I take ownership, I'm still learning, I'm still making mistakes and I'm still trying and I still have my days, like I say, but I can walk into the academy now and Danny will be there at the face. You okay, mate? A good day? The guys will be there, how are you? You had a good day? Yeah, I'm great, how are you guys? Yeah, fantastic. Ever need something, reach out. Get messages daily, hope you're okay. Ever need something, reach out. I'm the same, I return the favour in kind. And I will, and I spent the majority of my life fighting on my own, or thinking that I was fighting on my own, putting myself on my own, realising that, the world isn't pretty, it's not nice, but there are things in life you can't control, that you can control, just, worry about that. Things you can't control, just, there's no point in fretting. Life's far too short, and I've learned that, and obviously I had a recent health scare, which threw me right off, because I've never had a health scare. Like I said, I've only I broke this hand, I've broken that hand, that was November last year. In rugby, I was on the pitch for 10 minutes and I broke my hand. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, I've been fighting for 9 years, so I'm on the pitch for 10 minutes. So, I've been through it and I'm not completely over it, I never will be, but I accept it. My legacy is still the same. I want to be the best in what I do. I want to be the best in all I do, and it's always going to be. But that's not all I want. What I want now is I want to know that when I pass on and I die, that I have left a mark. Whether it be in the fighting world, whether it be in the sports world, whether it be, I don't know, just my friend who lives next door. If I've inspired them enough to, pull through, or inspire them to stay fit, look the way they do, chase their dreams, and know that, it is all right if you're struggling, but you just need to know that you're not alone. You need to reach out to the right people, and if you need the help, to get it. And I want to be one of those people that's there if I can provide the help in whatever way, shape or form. I just want to leave this world knowing that I've inspired people, motivated people, and left them in a good place.
Awesome. Sam, we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes now.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for how frank you've been,
worries.
how honest you've been.
No worries.
Thanks for being part of the team.
Thank you for having me.
Not at all. We're really looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Yeah.
Sam, do you want to tell them where they can find you? What's your Instagram?
I do have 2 Instagrams. I have my fighting profile page, which is Sam Stockdale MMA, or I think it's that one, the tag. My tag for my normal profile is Madman TKO. I do have my Facebook. I only really accept people that I'm close to, but I do have a page on Facebook which is for my fighting specific side of things, but I haven't been active for a while. I'm still regaining, still getting active on all that side of things, but yeah, more than welcome to give me a follow. I mean, it's just full of training videos, fighting videos, dogs, puppies.
Yeah, lots of the puppies at the moment.
Definitely puppies at the moment.
Obviously, you can find us on at Strong Athletic Fitness, Facebook /Athletic Fitness, Twitter Athletic Strong. The merchandise is available, amazon.co.uk/Strong Athletic Fitness, YouTube, SoundCloud, but everywhere you can find a podcast, you'll be able to find this. Give us a subscribe, and next time we should have either the brothers Simpson, so Joe and Kyle Simpson coming on.
Good guys.
Both good guys. Or we'll have Sean and Danny from A Million Martial Martial Arts Academy. Thank you so much for listening. Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.
I hope to do it again.